Hello, welcome to Zigmatech Learning Hub. I will be your instructor for fine art. You can call it visual art as well, cultural and creative art. Now for this class, we are going to be taking our exercises from the ExamGuide app. Now if you don't have this application installed already in your device, I will advise you download this app in order for you to follow along this class. Now, ExamGuide is a leading educational app that helps students prepare adequately for exams, for various exams, such as UTME, post-UTME, WAEC, GCE, KCPE, IJMB, JUPEB, Calbepedia, BECE, JSCE, NCEE, NECO, to mention but a few. You can download the app from our website www.examguide.com, or you can download it as well as using your Google Play Store. Please subscribe to our channel and turn on the notification bell to be updated on new videos as we upload. Now, if you're ready for today's class, okay, let's get started.
Okay, welcome back. Now, this is the part 2 of 3 of this section. Now, previously we were talking about color. You know, in this section we're still talking about colors, and we've talked about the definition of color. We've talked about the practical inventory of colors. We've dealt with all that, and then we talked about some classes of color. So today we'll be looking at some other classes of colors, and then, you know, if time permits, we'll still go further to talk about some of the properties of color. So let's get started. All right. So now let's look at some of the other classes of color. Now, the next class of color we'll talk about today is harmonious color. Harmonious color. Now, these are colors that agree so well with one another when put into use. Now, they are often called family colors because they at least share the same basic color. They share the same basic color. They call them family colors. For example, you see pink and red. They fall under the same family. So red, pink, horse blood, you know, to make sure but if you so all of them, they fall under one family. So we regard those colors as harmonious colors. Now, there are principles of harmonious colors. There are so many ways, you know, we can guard these harmonious colors. Now, principles of harmonious colors can be stated as follow. Now, 1, ensuring that colors used as related to one another is distinct in a distinct way. Now, whenever you're using this harmonious color, you use them in a distinct way. Don't just play them all together to avoid color riot. Now, number 2, allow one color to dominate the others. For example, in every harmonious color movement, you see one color dominates the other. So it stands out more than the other ones. So whenever you're putting that into consideration, you must actually make sure that some of these colors, that one of the color stands out more than the other colors. Now, how harmonious colors could be achieved in mixing? Now, harmonious colors could be achieved by mixing, you know, by mixing these analogous colors or the adjacent colors combination. Now, in your color wheels, if you see colors that are opposite each other, if you arrange them that's where you form the harmonious colors. And now the analogous colors are 2 or more colors that lie side by side on the color wheel, one of which should be given more prominence, like I told you initially. Now, complementary colors, when using as harmonious colors, should be on equal, you know, in distinct areas. Like, for example, if I want to paint the face with different colors, there's no way I can now, you know, put green here and then I'll just bring a red directly after that green. It won't work harmoniously. So you need to bring colors that are in the same family while working with the harmonious color. Now, such an excellent harmony can only be achieved by neutralizing one of the complementary colors. Now, failure to do so, this will often result towards terrible color riot. That is, if you use colors carelessly without neutralizing one, to bring a terrible color riot. Now, uses of a single color together with a natural color could produce a very pleasant harmonious color. Now, for better results, such colors and the natural color, one should not share similar dominance in the design. Always put that at the back of your mind. Either the natural color should stand out, or the normal or the complementary color should stand out. So one must take prominence in your design. Now, examples of these harmonious colors: a single warm tone on the side of red and yellow will go well and give you a very beautiful combination. Now with black or dark gray, while a cool color in the family of blue and purple will appear pleasant with white or light gray. So there, these are the back of your mind. That's a perfect example of what the harmonious color. Now this is exactly what I'm trying to explain, the harmony of what harmonious color. If you see how it blended down, this bright yellow harmoniously graded down. So all these are the perfect examples of what harmonious color. Now let's look at the trides. Now this is the use of three colors that are what approximately at equal distance from one another on the color wheel. Now they avoid running into unpleasant what contrasts. You just learn to avoid what's not into unpleasant contrasts. Now I.N. Ozoba in his book Understanding Art in General Education suggested that two of such colors, that is stride colors, be partly what neutralized, such as mixture cannot always what be given with intention, blending what with a touch. I just wish we can actually do this practical so you understand exactly what I'm saying. But let me break it down in such a way that you can understand. Now, if you're working with three colors, for example, three secondary colors, now you neutralize two of them while you make one prominent. That is when you can get what a perfect stride. You don't just bring three trides and then you allow three of them to stand out very loud. You will create a serious disaster in that combination or in that painting. So I hope you get that. Now let me show you a little, a picture of that stride. But before we see the pictures, let's still, go further to explain the stride. Now, alternatively, one of the three colors may be neutralized and other confined to a small area. Now, when you neutralize one, you just confine one on a small area and then you leave the third one to be dominant. All these are what geared towards creating some harmony in the color. Example of a tride family are red, yellow, and blue. Will give you a beautiful tride. Now you have the orange, green, and violet. Will give you, that's the secondary tride. Now red, yellow, and blue is the primary tride. Orange, green, and violet is the secondary tride. While yellow, orange, red, violet, and blue, green is the tertiary tride. The same thing applies to what's the yellow, green, blue, purple, and what's the red, orange. Now these are what the tertiary tride. So this is the perfect example of what I'm just trying to explain. You see, so if you take your time, you see the pink arrow, red, yellow, and blue is a tride. Orange with the blue stroke, blue, green, and the violet. You see how all of them interplay with themselves. So tride color scheme, any three colors that are what equally spaced apart in the color wheel is known as what the tride. Now these are the tride colors. So now let's look at the neutral color. Now these are colors without a particular hue. You can neither identify them. You can say, okay, this is red, this is blue. They have strange names and they look kind of wet. They are gray in nature, but you can actually identify them. Now, because they do not reflect any single wavelength of what? Light. But all of them at once, or none of them at a time. Now, this is why they are placed outside the color wheel. Now, we place the tride and the neutral colors outside the color wheel. However, they play very important role in creating shades and tints to other hues. Now, neutral colors are black, white, gray, ash, to mention but a few. Now, we use black to shade or to make the colors darken, while we'll use white to tint these colors to make them what? Lighter. So that is how we get some of these neutral colors. Let's look at how these neutral colors look like. Now you see, these are perfect examples of what the neutral color. These are beautiful. They are my favorite colors. I like working with the gray colors. They look so calm, so earthy, so relaxed. All right, so these are neutral colors. Now let's look at the warm color. I'll try as much as possible to be very fast so we can get as much as we can get in this class. Now, the warm colors. Now these are colors that produce great heat or light. They produce what? Heat or light. In addition, warm colors shows a lot of what's brilliancy, thereby making them to advance towards the viewer. Such colors include the red, the yellow, and the orange. Now, what do I mean by this? What I mean is that warm colors, they emit heat. When you see them, they attract, they try to draw you to them. Now, such colors, they are bright colors. For example, the orange color, very bright. The red color, very bright. Yellow, the yellow sun. It calls your attention. These are colors you cannot overlook. They are shouting in nature. All right, so now let's take a good look at what the warm color and its gradients, how it gradients. Now you see the red. Now this is the red family, the orange family, the red orange family, the yellow orange family, down to the what's yellow straight, and then you have the yellow green. Now we call this the warm color. They are very sharp colors and they're very attractive. So these are warm colors. Now, after the warm colors, there is that family of color that we'll talk about, which is known as what? The cool color. Now, the cool color is directly opposite to what? The warm color. If you look at the image before now the image, you see this up one is the warm color. While the colors down, I just had to blind them. Now, they are known as what? The cool colors. But don't worry, we are going to look at them and then see them. Now, the green, the blue green, the blue violet, and then the what? The violet red. They are known as what? The warm colors. So now let's talk about the cool colors. Now the cool colors, what are the cool colors? The cool colors, these are colors that are cool. They bring cool, they produce coolness on our environment, or even what? Psychologically. Apart from black, cool colors have a lot of blue hue in them and tend to what? Reside or move backward from the viewer. Now they are blue, green, violet, and blue violet. So whenever you hear the word violet, what should come to mind is what? The purple. The purple color is known as what? The violet color. All right. So the cool colors are blue, green, red, blue, green, blue violet, red, green, violet, and the violet. So these are the cool colors. So let's break them down. Now I had to make this design for you to see, to differentiate between the warm colors and the cool colors. They are cold. So these two, they are the cool colors, and this is the warm color. They look very attractive. And then, okay. So now let's look at the local colors. When you hear the word local colors, what comes to mind? Now these are the natural colors of objects as they appear to the eyes in daylight. You bring orange. This is orange. The way it appears daylight without being dent or mixed. Now they are the object colors, free of any influence from what? Reflected light or color. What it is what it is. This is the color of this bottle. It is not influenced by anything. You're seeing the color. This is what it is. So we call them what? Local colors. For example, your blood. Your blood is your blood. It's red everywhere. It doesn't change. That is the color of the blood. Like you see the sun. The sun is yellow sun. It comes out very loud. The sky is blue. The blue sky. The blue sky most times will reflect on the sea, and then the sea will turn what? The blue sea. If the sky is red, you have the red sea. So it depends, you understand? So what it appears, we know them as what? Neutral, local colors. So I'm just trying to illustrate exactly what local colors are. Onion, you see the onion color, it comes out onion, tomato, the same thing, grape, lime, they maintain their what? Their local color. So even this is a painting. Now even your grape and your strawberries, red, see them, green grape, see them, strawberries, red, they come out, leaves, green, appears the way it is. So now the next one we'll talk about is monochrome. When you hear the word monochrome, what comes to mind? Now it is the use of a single color together with its various what? Graded tones to paint. For example, if I'm working with black, I paint with what? Only black. But the point is I will not need to grade it with white. So monochrome is the use of what? One color to make what? A painting. We have other kind of color. We have polychrome too. Okay, let's look at monochromes. So let me show you some images. You see this beautiful image here. These are photography, but I'll still show you some paintings. You see the blue sea, blue cloud, the black and white graded, looking very awesome. So that is exactly what monochromatic picture, monochromatic painting is all about. All right, this is a painting, a monochromatic painting, just painted with two colors, with one color, blue. Then you shaded it with what? Black and what? And white. So we call it what? Monochrome. So whenever you see a painting that is like this, just okay, this is a monochromatic what? Painting. All right. So the next one we'll look at is what? The polychrome. Now the polychrome, this is the painting or other works of art that are done in many colors. So whenever you see the polychrome, there are several colors, several paintings, a painting done with what? Different color. Sometimes the colors, they riot, but you, because of you're an artist, you learn to organize your color in such a way it looks appealing to the eyes. So that's exactly what the polychrome is all about. All right, so this is the perfect example of a polychromatic drawing. You see how the painter expresses himself with several hues of colors. The green, the purple, the red, the yellow, the black. You know, you rarely see any white here. So this is known as what? The polychrome. All right. And this is another painting, polychrome. Okay, now let's look at the properties of color. The properties of color. There are three major properties of colors. The first one is hue, the second one is intensity, and the third one is what? Chroma. Hue, intensity, and chroma are the three major properties of color. Now let's take them one after the other. Now the hue, let's pick the hue. Now the hue, which is another name for color, like I said, is also a basic identity of any color which has what? Not been what? Neutralized. That's the property. Any color that has not been neutralized is the hue. Now the following list best represents what? Hue. For example, yellow is yellow, red is red, blue is blue, green is green, violet is violet, so orange is orange, red orange, green orange, red violet, red blue violet, blue green, you know, red, you know, to mention what a few. Now these colors, they stand out by themselves, bearing their names. We know them as what? Hue. So it's one property of color. Those colors that have not been neutralized with any color, they are known as what? Hue colors. Okay. Now, colors like pink, gray, brown, and the likes are left out because they have been what? Neutralized. So we don't take those ones as pink. Pink has been neutralized. It has been neutralized with white. Gray, neutralized. Brown color has been neutralized with black. You see, they added black to the red. I gave that crescended down to brown. So we leave those ones out because they are neutralized. We don't regard them as what? You know, a property of color. However, a color hue can be changed by mixing the color with another color, which actually changes the wavelength of the ray of light for that color. Now, for example, yellow added to green will result into a yellowish green. That is yellow green, and the color changes, which affects what? The hue of that color. All right. So now let's look. The next one is what? The value. Value. Now, what is value? It is the variation of color tone in terms of what? Lightness or darkness. The variation of what? Color tone in terms of what? Lightness and darkness. That's why we have a dark red, a darker red, and a lighter red. Now, that does not mean that red has actually been neutralized, but it's just that the tenacity, the value differs. Now, the value of a color can be increased by adding some quantity of what? Of white. And it can actually be decreased, which is known as what? If you add white to color, we call it what? Tinting. Color has been tinted. Now, that affects the value. Now, if by design to you add black, it becomes what? Shaded. So you've actually affected the value of that color. All right, the next one we'll talk about is what? The color intensity or the chroma of a particular color. Now, this is the actual brilliancy of or the brightness of a color without any neutralization. Now, the color added without any neutralizing what? The color added to it. When a little white or black or any other color is immediately or is added to it, it immediately loses what? Its original purity and what? Intensity. Now, what I'm trying to say here is when a color comes the way it is from its container. Let's look at a yellow paint. That is the intensity of that yellow. By the time you add any other thing to it, you neutralize it. It has lost its intensity. So, but the intensity of this color is what it is. For example, let's use this. For example, you see this, the both of them are blue. You can call this a light blue, and you can call this what? A kind of darker blue. Now, they still maintain their intensity, but by the time you add anything to it, it loses its intensity. It becomes a different color altogether. You understand? So that is exactly what I'm trying to explain now. That the intensity or the chrome or the chroma of a color is the color in its original what? State. So that is that about what? Color intensity. All right, so let's look at this chart we have here that explains the property of color. Now, the first one I have is the hue. The hue explains the name of the color and the color in its original state. We talked about the value. The value talks about what? The gradation, the tonal gradation from the darkest to the lightest. You know, the movement of light from the darkest part to the lightest. For those of you that offers biology, you learned about your osmosis and diffusion. So in art, we don't call it osmosis or diffusion. Rather, we call it what? The value. Why the chroma talks about what? The brightness, the steady level of what? The color. What the color stands for. If it is blue, it is blue. If it is black, it is black. If it is red, it is red. The brightness or the brilliancy of the color. Now, I told us, remember that there are 3 fundamental properties by which color is characterized, which is the hue, the value, and what? The chroma. So these are the 3 major properties of color. All right. So I guess we'll put a stop. We'll stop here today because of our time. And then, but till we meet again, let's do a quick revision of what we've talked about so far from the first part down to the second part. Now remember, we looked at the definition of color. We talked about the discovery on how color theory came about. And then we talked about the color pigments, which I told you we have 3 major color pigments. And finally, we also looked at what? The classes of color. Apart from looking at the classes of color, we went further to talk about the properties of color. So we talked about the properties of color. Now, having said this, let me ask you some questions to understand fully if you really, really understand what we've discussed so far. Now, listen, this video is with you. You can watch it over and over again to get, acclimatized to these stuff. So, however, Q&A. Now, I want you to name 3 properties of color. Mention the 3 properties of color. That's the last thing we just discussed. Now, what are the 3 properties of color? Yes, did I hear you say hue? Yes, chroma or intensity, and then value. Now, these are the 3 major properties of color. Thank you so very much. And then now let's go over to the exam guide where we'll try our hands in some of those questions. Okay. All right. Now we are now at exam guide. So it's still fine art, which is your cultural and creative art. And then we'll click, let's check the question. We can do 2012 down to 2021, but let's see random questions. Let's pick random. And then the topic we treat today is what? Application of color. So we'll click on it and say, okay, and then let's get started. All right, so today I want us to just look at some few questions that we'll treat here. We'll just take just some few questions. Let's look at question number 3. Okay, now we're on exam guide. So what we learned today is cultural and creative art, yes. So we treated a lot of the color, application of color. So first of all, let's pick from which year do you want to answer. Is it from 2012 or you're going to random? Let's take random. And then let's go over to, let's select our topic, which is application of colors. And click on it, okay. And then let's click get started. All right, now let's see question number 45. Primary colors are also known as dash. Primary colors are also known as dash. A, basic. B, binary. C, cool. D, harmonious. And E, opposite. If you say basic, you're very, very correct. Okay, let's try another question. Okay, let's see question number 43. In reference to color wheel, opposite colors are referred to as dash. In reference to your color wheel, opposite colors are referred to as dash. Is it contemporary colors and complementary colors? Is it harmonious colors? Is it intermediate color? Is it primary color? Is it tertiary color? Remember, we've treated all these colors that I have mentioned here. So which color is regarded to as color that sits opposite each other in the color wheel? And the answer is what? Complementary color.
Thank you for participating in today's class. You can practice more questions using the exam guide. Now, the app scores and give a detailed explanation of all the questions at the end of your practice test. Now, you can learn a particular topic of interest with different modes like study mode, mock mode, and practice mode. It also have other features that make learning fun. Now, it is a must-have for all serious students. Download the app from www.examguide.com if you don't have it yet. See you in the next class. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel, hit the notification bell, and then share this video to anyone you know that would benefit from it. Thank you, and bye-bye.